Today, former President Trump sat down for an exclusive interview with Newsmax, and he touted his administration's role in the vaccines and the impact of Operation Warp Speed. He sat down with Steve Cortez. He also talked about Dr. Anthony Fauci. Here's what he said.
He said the vaccine would take 3 to 5 years and probably wouldn't even happen.
Right.
And I got it done in less than 9 months. I think that's one of the great achievements. And I think another great achievement, I think the best bet ever made was I bought billions and billions of dollars of vaccine before we knew it worked, before we had it approved, because otherwise we'd be waiting until October of this year.
And during the interview, President Trump was also asked about the efforts by some states to challenge big tech, including down in Florida. Governor Ron DeSantis is the latest to sign a bill that allows individuals to sue social media platforms if they are unfairly censored. Here's what the former president said about that.
You add them all up, they're not going to be able to function unless they become reasonable. So they're basically doing what the federal government will never do. They will never do it. They're taken care of very nicely, the other side, the Democrats.
All right, let's welcome in now conservative TV host and New York Times best-selling author, Eric Bolling. Eric, great to see you.
Good to see you, JB.
All right, so, I'm enjoying these interviews with President Trump. Great job by Steve last night. But what we're seeing, I think, is a more subdued president than we're going to see out on the rally trail, which we should start here very soon. But what was your biggest takeaway from what we heard from President Trump last night?
Well, I think there were a bunch. It was a great interview, great get by Newsmax and Steve and Pellegrino also. I think what he's doing is he's laying back right now because he is going to come out of the box, as you point out, with the rallies. He's going to speak to the North Carolina Republicans on June 5th. That's going to be this is going to be the first time he spoke publicly on stage since the CPAC, which was the only other time he's ever done it. So I think he's going to really lay into the Biden administration, and you pointed out exactly why, and Steve asked the question, they're taking credit for half the country being vaccinated. What President Trump said right there is very important. He spent $2 billion to a couple of the vaccine makers before they had a vaccine. So it's easy for them to go ahead and push forward and to be real aggressive with trying to develop a vaccine when they know it's already been sold on the backside of it. That's different from straight up free market capitalism where it says, go ahead, if you want to take the risk, you'll be rewarded on the backside of it. Maybe companies wouldn't have done it. But Trump said, you know what, this supersedes the free market capitalism and needs to be done to save American lives. He did something that no one thought he would do and no one's ever done before, and paid these people to push a vaccine through and got results. And for the Biden administration not to acknowledge that is gross. Also, Anthony Fauci just blatantly lying about the Wuhan lab not being the source of the leak for over a year now, admitting that it likely could be the source of the leak. Man, if you add up what Rand Paul said about accelerating the effectiveness or the virility of the virus in that lab, and then they leaked it, it's a big problem for the Biden administration, not because of what happened, but what are they going to do now?
And even today, Eric, to hear, we played at the noon hour, the back and forth between Senator John Kennedy and Dr. Fauci about this $600,000 of U.S. taxpayer dollars going to the Wuhan Institute of Virology for research. Dr. Fauci today saying they can't guarantee that money was not used for the gain of function research, as it's being called, which you take a virus and you make it more transmissible to other humans, basically weaponizing it. He could not guarantee that did not happen today. I want to talk about the whole media reaction to that in just a second. But back to President Trump, you have this issue now. You have so many other issues as well. You have the big tech censorship issue. And I also talked about the election integrity issue before. And you're starting to kind of maybe start to hear the chants this time around. Instead of drain the swamp and build the wall and lock her up, it's secure the vote. Wuhan flu, those types of things. And again, we're just weeks away from seeing this start up again. You have stark contrast between that and the Biden administration, and this sets up very nicely for President Trump.
Yeah, very nicely it sets up very nicely for 2022. So, for the Republicans to take back the House and take back the Senate, I think that will be the impetus for President Trump to decide that he's going to run in 2024. And it looks like all indications, John, as you know, the first election, midterm election of a brand new president, so Democrat or Republican, now a Democrat, that House, that side usually loses seats in the House. The Republicans only have to have a net flip of about 6 seats in the House to get the House back, and then only 1 Senate seat. And I think, Warnock in Georgia will be that. I think the Republicans will take both the House and the Senate in 2022. And boy, you want to talk about wind to the sails of Donald J. Trump running for president in 2024. That will do it. He'll ride that sail right into the 24 election, I believe.
Right. And if he is successful in effort in getting all these folks elected, I mean, he, obviously is the clear-cut, undisputed leader of the Republican Party, but he'll have that record to go on as well. And as you indicated, wind in his sails. Let's compare and contrast this to what's going on at the White House right now. We saw President Biden yesterday meeting with George Floyd's family. He's also under immense pressure from George Floyd's family and Democrats to pass that George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, which seems stalled out right now. He's also facing pressure over his support for Israel. Meanwhile, you have the Secretary of State over there saying something completely different about supporting Gaza, talking out of the other side of his mouth. Obviously, Israel knows what's going on here. They're not buying this. They don't have a lot of comfort or confidence, really, in what's going on with the Biden administration right now. So Biden's facing a lot of internal pressure from Democrats, the progressives on the left, Republicans on the right. It's not going very well for him right now, is it?
No, he's a puppet of the progressive wing of the party, that's for sure. Bernie Sanders and AOC are basically puppet masters, the puppeteers, and Biden is just doing things that they need. I mean, declaring that embassies around the world U.S. embassies around the world should fly the BLM flag at half mast. It's just crazy what's going on. But you point something out, it hits home for me. For the better part of 30 years, I've been covering politics. For all of that time, Israel has been our staunchest ally. They're our eyes and ears in the Middle East. We've defended Israel. We've supported Israel. We've given the Iron Dome defense system. And in 120 days, somehow in 4 months' time, there are lifelong Democrats. There are Jews in the country. My wife's Jewish. I cannot believe that we've flipped and turned our back on Israel so quick. And I believe this to the bottom of my heart. It's not because of the way we realize or feel about Israel and the Middle East. I believe it's because Trump and Jared Kushner and the Abraham Accords, they were so pro-Israel. It's like everything in the Democrat Party. Whatever Trump likes, they hate, no matter what it is, even if it's something as important as a Middle Eastern ally like Israel and the greatest ally, invariably the greatest ally we have. We're turning our back on them. We're supporting Hamas. Can you imagine that we're actually talking about making reparations to Palestine and Hamas, a terrorist organization, when they started a conflict and started shooting rockets into Israel?
Right.
I don't know what's happened, but I guarantee 2022 a lot of it will be surrounding how we've treated, how the Biden administration and Democrats have treated our greatest ally, Israel.
For those who are read in on this, it's offensive to hear about anyone talking about supporting Gaza when everyone knows that Gaza is firmly in control of Hamas. That's where this aid would go. That's where the support would go. You got to address that issue first, and clearly Benjamin Netanyahu understands that, I guess, better than Tony Blinken does.
And John, Hamas is a terrorist organization. Right. We recognize it, and they have seats on the Palestinian Authority. They have seats in the Palestinian government, a terrorist organization, and we're going to go ahead and send them money. We're basically going to send them money to shoot more rockets into Israel.
Exactly. Well, they claim to be a political party, and they have their own militant wing of that political party, and that's how it works over there. Same thing with Hezbollah and Lebanon. But, you got that. You got Mideast violence happening. You got inflation. You got crime spiking. All these issues. And God forbid one Republican member of Congress says something that she probably shouldn't have said about passports and masks, and then the whole media apparatus, Democratic apparatus, has to focus all their attention. I have a meme that I wanted to show in relation to Marjorie Taylor Greene here, which I thought was pretty appropriate. Can we put it up on the screen? Do we have it?
Yes, you said
I sent it to you. I texted it to you.
That thing is amazing. It's basically, Marjorie Taylor Greene and the whole Democrat Party has got their eyes focused on her instead of all the things that are blowing up around them. There's the mean, and you're 100% right. It's just, it blows me away that she can make one comment, and again, I think it's unfortunate. I think she probably shouldn't have said what she said, or she could have corrected, but she doesn't want to. That's Marjorie Taylor Greene. Look, they're words, as opposed to Hamas blowing hundreds of thousands of rockets into Israel, killing people. They look the other way on something as egregious and deadly as that, but they're worried about some unfortunate words on Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's really what's, it's what Trump did too. He everything he did had their attention, no matter what was going on. All they could focus on what he said. Now they're focused on what MTG says.
I do want to play a soundbite that's resurfaced, and this is what always happens with her. She says something incendiary, and then they do like this deep dive investigative research on an old clip. I want to play it because I think it's important to the story. Take a look.
Whether I see a statue that may be something that I would fully disagree with, like Adolf Hitler, maybe a statue of Satan himself, I would not want to say take it down. But again, it's so that I could tell my children and teach others about who these people are, what they did, and what they may be about.
Now, again, this might be where a political consultant would say, filter it back a little bit. The meaning of what she was saying there is about not erasing history so you can learn from the mistakes of others. And again, maybe a ham-handed way of saying that, but she's not saying this stuff in private. This isn't some secret conspiracy she's harboring while living a different life. She's at a public meeting. She was running for Congress at the time. The people of her district elected her anyway. I mean, how is this relevant to right now?
Yeah, that video resurfaced, I guess, yesterday. It was, Satan and Hitler were trending on Twitter all day long. She's trolling she is living rent-free in the Democrats' heads and liberals' heads right now. No matter what she says, it makes them crazy. Look, I wouldn't have said those things. I get it, but and it can make some people offended. And Ben Shapiro, a very conservative Jew, is taking her to task.
They should be offended. It's offensive what she said. But again, it shouldn't derail the entire media. When we are learning about the Wuhan virus leaking out of a lab that we may have funded, and then over on the New York Times, Eric, they had this op-ed that said this: attacks on Jews over Israel are a gift to the right. A gift to the right, as opposed they're just wrong. Nobody wants to talk. That's another reason why they were so apt to focus their attention on Marjorie Taylor Greene, because we've had this outbreak of anti-Semitic attacks.
That is a huge headline. When I saw that, I was blown away that New York Times would actually run that. Again, that's an op-ed headline. I get it, and so they're provocative. But remember how crazy they got with Tom Cotton a year ago when he, God forbid, suggested that
we will never forget that
may be the source of it. But again, they quietly took that headline down. They changed that in the wee hours of the morning this morning to make sure that didn't see any more light of day. It's the left. There's just such hypocrites, and we just got to keep calling them out. Just got to keep pointing it out.
Right. You got to keep your head down, keep doing it, keep chopping that wood, as they say, Eric, and keep reminding everybody how ridiculous this stuff has gotten. Great to see you. We'll talk soon.
Always good, John. Thanks.
All right.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.